Hey guys, it's Glenn from GlennCarCollection.com, and here's a winter update on my 2017 911 Carrera, known as a 991.2. So the .2 means it's the second generation 991, and the second generation of the 991s came out in 2017 and went to 2019. I always like whatever the second version is of that particular 911. So I guess my 993 Turbo was technically a .2 version of the 993s. My first 911 I ever owned, a 2002 996 C4S, which is now becoming a collectible car, that was the second version of the 996. I love 997.2s and hope to own one day. And then this car is the second generation of the 991s. The 991's got a little bigger, but you got a bigger back seat if you have kids, and I just think it's a fantastic car. Now, the biggest change for the .2s compared to the .1s in the 991 series is now they're all turbocharged. So 2017 is the first year they all went turbo. So this car, with its turbocharged 3.6 liter flat six, 370 horsepower, is just as fast, is not faster, as my 400 horsepower 993 Turbo. Now again, there's better traction, all different stuff, even though this is rear drive compared to my 993's all-wheel drive. So I bought this car at the right time in 2020, which was during the pandemic. Actually, the dealership just opened up. We were still kind of on a lockdown. I found this car 100 miles from my house in New Jersey, found it out in Pennsylvania. It was a fantastic price because it was a lockdown. I made a low offer and I got it because they really weren't selling any cars then. We'll just go on the side street here. And I got a great deal for the car. I'm very happy with my purchase. Now, the car is so much faster being turbocharged, but it's still a lot of fun. Downside of the car, you know, because it's turbocharged, it sounds like a vacuum cleaner, where the 991.1s are the last generation of the naturally aspirated motors, not counting like the turbos and turbo S's, but the 991 is the last NA motor, which stands for naturally aspirated. So they certainly could have some collectability, but I just like the look, the handling, and the power of the 991.2s, and I wanted this color Miami blue, which didn't come out until 2017. I think this ended on the 911s as a 2020, so you can get an early generation 992, which came out in model year 2020, a .1 version of the 992, since there'll be a .2 version soon in Miami blue. I wanted to stick at Miami blue, and that was very rare. You see a lot of Miami blue GT3s because that probably fits. You want a flashy car, GT3, so you want to flashy color, but dealers typically, you know, order these Carreras, so the issue is they get them in safe colors, black, silver, white, so you very rarely see, you know, a racing yellow or Miami blue or even sapphire blue regular Carrera, even if it's an S or a 4S. You probably see it more on the GTSs and more on the GT3s and turbos. I think the first time I ever saw Miami blue was on a turbo or turbo S. No, so I love this car. It's been fantastic. So I bought it. It still had a year left of the 4-year 50,000 mile warranty, and then the 2-year unlimited CPO warranty starts as soon as the original 450 ends. So I bought this car with only 8,000 miles, and we have 20,622 right now. I bought this car with, again, 8,000 miles. So as long as I didn't hit 50,000 in that first year, my CPO would be 2 years and unlimited. If I did drive it a lot and drive 42,000 miles that first year and then hit the 50,000 miles, as soon as I hit 50,000 miles, that 2-year CPO kicks in. So you don't necessarily get 3 years, but once it kicks in, then you have that. And I had no warranty repairs. I probably didn't even need it, but I always like getting a CPO car. You'll probably pay a little $5,000 more to get one, but it could save you in more expensive repairs. So typically you'll get a car with original paint, with newer tires and brakes, you know, sometime a newer battery or even a new battery they'll put in, so they'll bring all the services up to date. So you could save probably $5,000 buying one on Facebook Marketplace, but I guarantee you the tires are probably old and out of spec. You're gonna need front brakes soon. Probably none of the maintenance was done except for oil changes. So you have that all done and you start with a good car. which I think makes a huge difference as far as what it's going to cost you. You'll save that $5,000 easy with all that maintenance done, newer tires and brakes. Now, the 36 months, so my warranty was 36 months. On the 36th month, just before it expired, so maybe it was the 35th month, a sensor went, which was typically like an O2 sensor, and that was a cheap sensor, but the labor was like $2,500 because supposedly to get to that O2 sensor, they had to drop the engine. So it was good that I had the CPO and had that called into the dealer, because I think they had to wait a while for the part to have that fixed under the warranty before it expires. But otherwise, the car's been phenomenal. You know, the base models have smaller brakes than the S. You've seen me drive this on Spirited Drives all the time. It's been no problem. This car is plenty fast. I could tune it and get another probably 100 foot-pounds of torque, but I haven't done it because I never drove this car and said I needed to be faster. Like I said, it's just as fast as my 993 Turbo. It gets the power to the ground great, even though it's rear drive. I love that it's rear drive because the rear end moves around, and I think it just adds excitement to driving to the car. I'm really glad I got the manual transmission. 7th gear, I mean, I never use 7th gear. If I've used it 5 times over the last 3 years. We've had this car 3.5 years now. When May comes, it'll be 4 years. Can't believe that. I'm going to post this video in January because we're doing my top 5 cars of 2023. So watch that. That's going every Monday from the middle of December to January 1st with the #1 car that I reviewed this year. So you're going to see this video in January. So if this video is live today in January, the day you're seeing it, this would probably all be snow and the roads would be full of salt. But could do a little acceleration. I forgot to put it in sport mode. So we'll put it in sport mode. Now we have a louder car, a livelier throttle. The sport exhaust goes on. So this car was spec'd exactly the way I wanted. So I wanted a Miami Blue manual, and I didn't care if it was a base, a GTS, an S. You know, GT3 and Turbo were out of my price range at the time, but I didn't care if it was a 4S, a 4, or a base. I just wanted Miami Blue with a stick shift, which is pretty rare because 90% of them are PDKs, and I think only 3% of the buyers chose Miami Blue. So you're only talking about a couple hundred cars in Miami Blue, and 90% of them are PDKs. Now, I'm sure there's a couple hundred GT3s in stick, no problem. Like I said, this color was more prominent on the GT3s and Turbos, but on a regular Carrera base S or whatever, it was not. This car, getting back to the options, was spec'd the way I would expect it. It's got the sport seats, it's got the manual transmission, the sport exhaust, it's got the 20-inch Carrera wheels instead of the 19 base, which are kind of ugly wheels. The only thing I wouldn't spec would be the sunroof, but the sunroof is kind of hidden because it's body color, and you wouldn't know it had a sunroof unless I pointed it out to you. I know a lot of people, you hit me up on YouTube, you want to know if I ever sell it to you. I don't have any intentions of ever selling this car. I'd like to get a 992 one day in like Python green or one of like pastel orange or something, but I don't think I could trade in this car to get it just because it's my perfect spec. There's nothing wrong with this car. It's just exciting. As long as it's reliable, like I said, it has 20,000 miles. First year I bought it, I doubled the mileage. I went from 8,000 miles to 16, but I've bought an S2000 since then, bought an R8 V10 manual since then, so obviously this gets less use than it did. But this car you could easily daily drive. Maybe if I was daily driving it, I would go with all-wheel drive. I'd go with a 4 or 4S just for that added traction, because we get a lot of rain and ice in the winter. But otherwise, I would probably, you know, for the weekend, I think this is the perfect spec. For a weekend car, I would definitely get the rear drive. Like if you stumble across everything else you like and it's all-wheel drive, that's fine. All-wheel drive is probably a little quicker, and in the real world, certainly it would be from point to point because you got that added traction. But as far as fun goes, I think you can't go wrong with a manual rear drive car. So this is probably my last drive, this being in December. This car will be in my garage all winter, and you'll probably see it in the spring. So I just wanted to give you an update on the car. I think they're fantastic buys. I think the 991 for both the .1s and .2s, especially with a manual transmission, will be a good buy because the prices were so crazy high because there's still a shortage of 992s. At some point, maybe next year, maybe the winter after this year, the supply will catch up. They'll have a 99 2.2, and then the 991s will drop. Low mileage, all original, rare color manuals will hold their value better than most. High mileage PDK cars obviously will drop because there's so many of them. But the 991s were really holding their value because there was such a shortage of 992s. And the 992 is even bigger and wider. So if you think the 991 is too big for the 997, wait till you meet the 992. But this is a fantastic car. I got to put on those clear side markers. I bought them like a year or two ago, and I've just keep forgetting to put them on. I think that would make a difference on the side of the car. I've gone through other stuff like tires. Rear tires go pretty quick on this car, probably less than 10,000 miles because Glenn has a heavy foot. I think I've done front tires too. I don't remember, but I got all new tires when I got the car. I don't remember. I'll have to check the other videos. So what I think I'm going to do in spring maintenance, most of my cars I do an oil change before the winter, just because I bought this in May. I've always done spring oil changes. So in the spring, I'm going to do an oil change, and I think I'm going to put in a new battery. So the battery is original. Again, when I bought the car, it was only 3 years old, so it tested great. It's still testing great, but just I don't want to be caught somewhere since I drive this car all over. In the spring of 2024, it's already going to be 7 years old. This car was probably sold new originally in calendar year 2016. No, actually, I think it was sold in 2017. I think it was a late 2017. So either way, it's going to be a 7-year-old battery, and it's just like Murphy's Law. Batteries only fail at night or in the middle of nowhere. So it's never going to fail when you want it to. So in the spring, I'm going to do the service oil change and put in a new battery. Oop, radar's going off. All right, guys, I think that's it for this video. I'm going to end it here. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll give you more updates on the car throughout 2024. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.